Let's be for real about this, y'all. You can't compete with a nerd. Let's see if I can keep this at 5 minutes, man. You can make, it could be me, it could be anybody, it could be Steve Urkel. You can make somebody, but we know when Steve Urkel turned into Stefan, it was game over. You cannot compete with no nerd, man. The nerd is not gonna be in the clubs chasing women, getting drunk, laughing it up. The nerd. I mean, we got YouTube videos out there of nerds being on the basketball court and just lit and people got lit up by some nerd who just walked on the court. Everybody was laughing. You can't compete with somebody that sits back in the background and dissects life itself. You can't compete with somebody like that. They got the drop on everybody. When it come if it come we talking about the woman thing, a nerd is sitting in the background and knows that he got exactly what every woman needs. Whether she knows she needs that or not, that's irrelevant. Again, most people have to keep they got to keep up with their fake lifestyle. Unfortunately, there are guys who want to be my friend. They same thing. They got to keep up with their fake lifestyle. If they seen with somebody like me, people, their environment is going to start changing. They don't want that. Some of them, their how much money their salaries depend on them keeping up with their false pretenses. Let me tell y'all something. I'd rather be a real motherfucker and not be rich than be rich and have to keep up false pretenses. That's just, I can't. I had already made that decision a long time ago. Again, when you sitting back in a cut, man, and you know what you coming with, you the bomb, you got it like that. You just sit back and you just watch people just make a fool out of themselves. Basically, they just clown themselves. I've been hearing a lot about people trying to compete with me. I mean, there is no, you can't man. I'm be sure you cannot compete with a nerd, man. And yeah, I'll call myself a nerd if that's what you want to call. That's what people, they want to call people who not out here keeping up false pretense. They want to call that person, oh, that's a nerd. And whoever they convince that person is a nerd, they're actually, all they doing is helping out the nerd get better and better. They don't realize that though. They just, whatever they doing, they're benefiting the one that's sitting back in the cut that's not talking to nobody. Going out here, you spreading rumors to people. That's good. It's all designed for the better of somebody like myself who's not competing with anybody. I think it's hilarious that people have these secret competitions with me. I knew all this stuff was going on, guys. Even when I was growing up, I knew all this stuff was going on. But remember, the universe humbled me. I was the chubby kid, that got made fun of up until the age of 15. I know that's not a long time, but I still have memories of being made fun of because I was chubby. Now look at me at my age now. Look at the body I had. I mean, how many times, guys, we read these stories all the time. It's nothing new. The person who everybody's laughing at, that be the main dude or a woman or something like that. That's the main one. The one that's being made fun of, they end up being the main character. We read this in storybooks all the time, but I don't want to be long. Just keep it short. Man, you can't play around with no nerd, man. I don't talk about whether you playing basketball, football, intellectually, sexually. That nerd is the one that got the drop on everything because they didn't sit back in the cut and just watched everybody go first. Say, no, you go first. You want to be okay? The nerd, like, you go ahead, go first. So the people who jump in the pool first, that's not the best swimmers. The nerd didn't step back and then collected all this information about every single person, place, and thing. But anyway, again, just to close out that, I miss playing basketball a lot, guys. That's where I used to really get my kicks. Yeah, I'm only 5'11", but I had like really like I had hops and stuff like that, and I was a sharpshooter. I played good defense. I could jump really high, and I was a sharpshooter. So a lot of times, even at 5'11", I'll be the one getting the rebound over dudes who was 6'3". I just had hops like that. I had more hops than guys who was 6'2", 6'3". Unless that 6'2", 6'3" guy was an athlete, that was the only way that they had a competitive edge over me. Okay, because naturally it was taller. But I was 5'11", and I worked harder than everybody else, just like I do now in my life. And that's why I exceeded at everything, better. So oftentimes when I showed up to the basketball court, even though being on it, well, most of the time, the tallest guys, like when I showed up to a basketball court, we don't run. How many guys actually end up 6'3" and above? Very rare. So when I showed up to a basketball court, the tallest guys, I would encounter would be like 6'1", 6'2". That's the average tall guy you'll see walking around 6'1", 6'2". But at 5'11", I'm walking on the basketball court like I'm finna light this fool up. Like I wasn't scared. Nobody was gonna stop me on that basketball court. Nobody. I actually went from the chubby kid to the guy that would show up on anybody, and I knew somebody finna get schooled. And unless, like I said, unless you was actually a trained athlete or you was on a basketball team, that was the only guys I had problems with. Guys who was actually trained basketball players. Everybody else was getting lit up. That was my mentality when I went to go play basketball, for real. And it was so funny to me because, people wasn't expecting it. Like I told y'all, if I was 6'3", it wouldn't have been nobody who would have been able to stop me. I don't care. Kobe, Jordan, I would have had that much confidence. Because what I was doing at 5'11", if I was 6'3", nobody, and of course, somebody out there can stop you. But I'm just saying, that's how much of a competitive edge I had over everybody else. I know if I was 6'3", nobody would have been able to stop me on the bat. You would have had to foul me because I was that unstoppable. Some Derrick Rose type of stuff, like for real. But anyway, just to close it out, y'all. Yeah, we see this stuff all the time. You can't compete with no nerd, man. Even I know that, man. Even I'm out here looking for the guy that got the drop on everybody. I'm like, okay, I know it's somebody out here better than me, but it ain't the guys who's being pretentious. It ain't the guys who's going to the clubs, dancing, drinking, looking like they're having a good time. Like, it ain't those guys. I'm looking for nerds. I'm like, okay, who's the nerdiest guy? I got to be careful of that motherfucker right there. That's who I'm looking out for.